everybody, and welcome to the Active Love podcast. My name is Alyssa, and I'm here with my mom, Heidi. And today we're here with Joel Sheagren and Carl Young, who are the authors of Embracing Hope and Innovative Strategies to Empower Parents Raising Neurodiverse Teens. I promise I can read. But they're so kind as to come join us and kind of talk about their book and how they got started with all that. So thank you guys so much for joining us this morning.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Thank you for hosting us.
Yeah, is someone going to do most of the talking, Carl?
Mostly
Or
Joel. Yeah,
Joel?
we find better. Otherwise, I am constantly interrupting.
Okay.
So yeah, just give me a timeout. I have FASD myself,
Okay.
and it's one of my little quirks. Joel will tell you about, I'm sure.
He's laughing, so I think he's fine with it. He's used to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All good.
Okay, Joel, then you're up, I guess.
Yeah, so Carl and I had met, I believe it was 2017, at a conference we had both gone to for FASD. We were both about a year into our sons. Our sons were both diagnosed in 2016. Carl's son's a little bit older than mine. At the age of 14 for me, and I had no idea what the acronym FASD meant, let alone how it impacted such a large number of people. And so I had started looking for conferences and how I was going to parent better and why don't I know about this? And
Can you tell us what the acronym stands for if people don't know?
yeah, so it is fetal alcohol spectrum disorder, and FAS, or fetal alcohol syndrome, is one component under that umbrella.
Okay.
And a lot of pediatricians understand FAS,
Yeah.
but it's a very small segment of the larger umbrella.
Okay.
So, but they are related.
Okay.
But the bigger umbrella for FASD is fetal alcohol spectrum disorder.
Okay.
Yep. And so Carl and I had met and kept in touch over the years, and then I had interviewed him for a documentary, so I'm also a filmmaker.
Okay.
I had started out with learning how to parent my son and starting to think about what a documentary might look like. And I started realizing we needed fictional characters because part of the problem with FASD not being understood or known is our stories can be incredulous, and we want to keep our kiddos protected.
Yeah.
You know, they're superheroes and they don't need their identity revealed.
Yeah.
So I started thinking about a fictional character, and that led to a much bigger concept, as we'll talk about here in a minute. But anyway, I had swung up to North Dakota to interview Carl, and we started talking more often at that point. And I had reached out to him because I thought, well, if I have all these interviews, what else can I use them in, such as the continuing education units, CEUs that teachers and social workers need to keep accredited. And Carl said, yeah, I'd be glad to help, but why don't you help me first? I'm teaching social workers in North Dakota. And so I jumped in and started helping him with that. And I think we got about 70 pages, Carl, right? Something like that with regards to a bunch of geeky stuff. And I think Carl suggested that we write a book, and I said, well, let's make it for parents, not the geeky stuff.
Yeah.
That's kind of how it got
Yeah,
started.
yeah, that's how it got started, pretty much. Yeah. Yeah, it was easy to get lost in the geekiness because I'm a researcher by background.
Yeah. So that's where you
Yeah.
you love that.
You know, but we coupled the research with the storytelling that Joel is incredible at.
Yeah.
And yeah, so this has been our journey.
No, that's awesome.
Wow.
Well, it's needed. I mean, I was just talking to my daughter because my youngest sister that I just mentioned, that's what she has. So, and we could have used this. I'm just saying.
That
I
would
Well,
be
mean,
we all
very
could have,
helpful.
and that's why Carl and
yeah.
I jumped in. It's like, so the project that I started working on, the overall project name is the Embrace Movement. And we have a website, embracemovement.org, where we try to host all of the different moving parts that are going on.
Mhm.
And one thing led to another. One of the stories that I had collected in the interview process was with a mom, and I interviewed her 3 times, twice on Zoom and once in person, because the story was pretty incredulous. The school had thrown her daughter under the bus, so to speak, a few months before graduation, and her daughter wasn't even involved in the situation.
Wow.
And so it's like, you got to be kidding me. I've got to hear this angle and that angle. And then I
Mm.
started writing a school story, is what I would call it, as a fundraising tool for the documentary. And one of our team members is Jody Culp, and was the co-founder of Red Shoes Rocks, which is an international FASD awareness, primarily on Facebook. And Jody was my cheerleader, and a few months after she had helped me with that writing, she called and said, "Do you mind if I snag the school story? I want to write a novel."
Yeah.
And so Jody took the school story, and it's pretty much the first chapter and some of the themes that I had in there, and she embellished it, and I became one of her moldable cheerleaders in the process
Yeah.
along the way. So we would talk daily, weekly about story development and consider this. And since then, um, we have another team member by the name of Justin Overlander. And with Your Truth and Conviction, which is on the Angel Studio,
Yes.
Mhm.
Mhm.
yeah, Justin was part of The Chosen. He was
Oh,
he
love
was
that show. Yeah,
yeah,
that's one of my
he was
favorites.
one of the original producers for The Chosen.
Okay.
Okay.
I think one of Dallas and Daryl's first hires.
Yeah.
And Justin stepped away because of the time commitment
Yeah.
after 4 years of being there to spend time with his kids. He has 3 kids, and they're all growing up. And
Yeah.
when
Understandable. Yeah.
you're working 16, 20 hours a day,
It
after
doesn't really go
4 years, it was
Yeah.
time to step away. Well, Justin was also a cheerleader for Jody, and he ended up writing a feature film script.
Oh,
So we now have a feature film script that we're fundraising for.
that's awesome.
Yeah, and we weave 4 fictional characters into all of what we're doing.
Okay.
And Zach represents the FASD, Q represents autism, Shay represents ADHD. And in Jody's book, she has an adult with trauma as a war vet who understands our kids.
Yeah.
And for Carl and I, we added another teenager, since the book was aimed at helping parents with teens.
Yes. Yeah.
And we call that gal Kennedy. So 2
Oh,
boys, 2 girls. And they're woven into everything now under the Embraced. And Carl and I are working on smaller books.
mhm.
Our book is pretty comprehensive, but it's kind of like a cookbook, if you will. It's a
Okay.
comprehensive cookbook. And if you need a recipe on how to work on social cues or impulsivity, just go to that chapter. It's pretty simple, and it's about a
Mm,
half hour.
mm,
And we mix story with the neuroscience.
okay.
So,
So it's easier for us parents to understand.
well, we tried to write it as 2 dads drinking coffee.
Oh, see, yeah.
Yeah.
I forget how many gallons Carl
480,
calculated.
480 gallons of coffee over a 18-month period. So.
That's a lot of coffee.
Yeah.
Oh, you guys like shaking and stuff? I don't know.
Yeah.
I'd like to see what that was like.
Well,
Yeah.
that was over a couple years, but
Yes.
it's amazing how 20 ounces of coffee a day adds up, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I was just thinking about your nervous system. If it was okay after that.
Oh yeah.
Caffeine.
Oh yeah. If you
You get used to it,
consume
right?
480 gallons in small amounts,
Yeah.
it's not quite so bad.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's
I'd be extremely jittery if I consume that much in a couple of days.
Oh,
no, I do a couple Cokes and I'm like that though.
Yeah.
The jitters. Well, I was just thinking about my sister and how my parents are older, which I told you before because of the age range. And so my mom, they're in their 70s now. And she's 23, 24.
I think 20.
But they had to sign over custody to the state for a period of time because she was so aggressive and violent. And do you see that common with the fetal alcohol syndrome? Is that, or can they live a normal life? Because she's what I now think of when people talk about it, because that's my sibling and I've seen her from growing up and the things that she does. And I mean, the thing is I feel like she's very smart because she knows how to manipulate. She knows what works for her at this point. And she has fallbacks and things that she does to get what she wants.
Mhm.
And so she's learned that. I feel like she learned that behavior because my parents were older and it was easier to do that than having to constantly, and there wasn't the time because my mom has the job, but she just was very difficult for them to manage. And so I just wondered if they can have normal lives. I mean, does your boys have normal lives and not have all of that to contend with? Because she still can't. She's still in a,
She's in
But
some sort of like
yeah,
behavioral
like a
facility.
facility. Yeah, because she can't be on her own. She beats people up, ended up in jail a couple times, that kind of stuff. And so my mom had to take custody back in order to keep her in a place like that, to protect her at this point because she can't, she doesn't, she just gives in to the impulses instead of trying to fight back with them. And so I was just curious as to, is there different degrees, obviously, of the fetal alcohol syndrome? And what do those different degrees look like? I
You
mean,
wanna go,
boys,
Carl?
yeah.
well, my son and I have his permission to talk about him.
Okay.
Because as he puts it, nobody should have to live the way people with FASD live.
Mhm.
He's tended toward the violent stage. If I'd known what we learned in the process of putting the book together,
Yeah.
his life would have been different.
Yeah.
Right.
But on the same hand, I know a couple hundred people now with FASD, and not all of them are violent. Most are functional. My FASD is not so much brain based as it is whole body. I have physical health impairments because
So
of it.
you have it too.
Yeah, I was diagnosed at the age of 52.
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow.
Whereas my son is more mental health, has impulse control issues, sensory issues, all of the things.
Yeah.
He's been in and out of jail, and he's currently, well, he up until recently he was homeless by his own choice.
Yeah.
When he's not in prison, he was living on the street. But I think with the appropriate supports, in my experience and what I've read in the literature, in the research papers and the scholarly articles, with the appropriate supports, most people with FASD can see meaningful lives. But it all depends on how you define normal.
Well, there isn't a normal, right? I
No,
mean, in my eyes, I don't think that normal exists.
right.
I think that people wish it did, but it doesn't.
Yeah.
So
A friend of mine's daughter said, normal is just a cycle in the washing machine.
It is. That's true.
That's a good way to put
It
it.
is. It is.
Mhm.
I like it.
But
Is that it's true.
our
There's no
home,
normal.
yeah, our home was 100% chaos at the
Yeah.
time. At the time of our son's diagnostic assessment, and um, it was 100% 24/7, the chaos.
Yeah.
And now it's 1%,
Yeah.
because
So,
we have had the opportunity to work with him and build safety. And so it's made a huge difference. It can make a huge difference.
okay. So
And
you feel like you were able to catch your sons in time to work through some of the stuff that had
yeah, and
happened.
in part, it's a different part of the spectrum. So think of fetal alcohol spectrum disorder as though somebody who has been drinking,
Mhm.
whether that intoxication, drinking alcohol, whether that intoxication is just a little bit or a whole lot to the point you can't walk.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And then how does that alcohol impact a person? So it's both the length and depth and height of alcohol, if you will. Take away the intoxication and leave the impact on the child for life at birth. That's what fetal alcohol spectrum is. So um, the statistics, so that hopefully just gives a generic or a organic understanding
Mhm.
that, and the symptoms often overlap with ADHD and autism. Our son has been dual diagnosed with autism
Mhm.
because of the social and the adaptive skills. He doesn't have autism. He
Mhm.
has the symptoms of autism because of the
Um,
alcohol.
Yeah.
However, we're really, really thankful for it because there's supports with autism and there's not.
yeah, there's
Yeah.
And the numbers for autism increase because almost all of our kiddos are dual diagnosed.
Yeah.
Uh,
no.
yep. And so it can present itself as autism. The alcohol companies several years ago launched a campaign to make alcohol drinking during pregnancy
Okay.
targeted at women to be cool.
Yeah.
And then they lobbied for the diagnoses to be ADHD because
Mhm.
they didn't want it associated with the alcohol.
Okay.
Right.
So 1 in 7 women in the US admit to drinking during pregnancy. So
So you
that,
know it's more than that though.
Yes.
well, that's
Yeah.
self-report.
That's just that, yeah, and that's ones that admit it
Yeah.
because most probably wouldn't even admit. So
No.
So
Right.
we advocate that there's a difference. They go together, but there's a difference between the impact and the prevalence. The prevalence is the neuropsych criteria for the behavior side. But like
Right.
Carl, he doesn't have the behavior side. He's been impacted by alcohol, which includes a host of other things. In
Yeah.
his case, primarily the physical side.
okay. Yeah.
So think of drinking alcohol. Does it affect the kidneys and the heart? And
Yeah, it
take
does.
take
Shut your
this,
body down.
those same exact aspects that alcohol, and sometimes people get angry when they drink, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Right. And so it's all of the above for think of alcohol. Blurry eyes. My daughter's been impacted but doesn't have the 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 prevalence. But she falls onto the impact side. She had in 4th grade, we had to have her eyes go through therapy because the eyes.
Mhm.
Alcohol causes blurry vision. Can.
So do you have more than one child with that problem then, is what you're saying?
We have 2 children that we've adopted,
Okay. Okay.
and both are from the same birth mother, and both,
Okay.
Mm.
yep,
Okay.
and they both, one was, our son was more severely impacted from the
Yeah.
behavior side,
Yeah.
highly intelligent, but really his testing for adaptive skills is like 1%. So he
Yeah.
gets taken advantage of
Yeah.
pretty easily by friends and
Yeah.
not understanding things, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
Our daughter does not have the behavior side, but she's had vision things and she struggles with abstract reasoning when she's taken a math test between a pretest and a an actual
Okay.
test and how
Yeah.
to apply it. She's like, I studied this, I memorized it. Oh, bless her heart, she's
Yes.
smart as a whip, but so the alcohol can really impact a lot of different
There it is.
aspects of a person's life.
Yeah. Well, see, now I'm like thinking about it because my daughter, that's just below Alyssa, they're biological siblings, but she's the one that's autistic. But I'm thinking that she has more alcohol because the birth mom said she stopped using the drugs that she was using and drank more. And so I've seen more of a problem with the drinking than with the drugs part of that. So,
Well, most research will show that parents, and I list parents specifically, that use drugs, you also use alcohol to attenuate the impact of the drugs.
okay.
And alcohol is legal.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, and that makes it a little more burdensome because burdensome isn't the right word, but that makes the impact a little greater. I mean,
Yeah.
because it's not something that we talk about. Even the intakes for the Women, Infant, and Children WIC program, one of the questions on there is, have you drank it recently? Or something like that. And most intake professionals ignore that question.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Which is, I could see that. I mean, because now that you guys are talking, I'm like, maybe she needs to be tested for that too, because I think that they stopped looking like they gave her a diet. I mean, when you talked about the school, I have to say that getting my kids through school was hell, basically. So I had to fight every year. And because of her age, even the autism wasn't a thing then. And so I would have to go back every single year and fight to keep her in the programs. And it got one time, it was so bad that they're like, Dad, can you just come in so we can have a sit down? I go in and literally there's like 10 people at a table and myself.
yeah.
And to try to keep her in those programs. And the school system wants everyone to fit in this, I always call it this nice, pretty box, the little pretty box with a bow on top. And none of my kids fit in that. So I'm like, I can't get my kid to fit in your box. So now what?
Well,
How
Carl
am I
can
going to
speak
help them?
pretty much. Yeah, Carl's an expert in that area. He's
Yeah.
helped families for the last 15 years in the context of IEPs and
Yes.
school. So maybe you can talk about
Lived with IEPs. I mean, did tons of those. So with all of my boys too, because their birth mom, I mean, one took drugs in the beginning. So I'm used to the drug thing. Both of my boys, they developed more psychosis in their 20s. They were fine younger, but then developed things as they got older. Kendra, my youngest, like when you were saying training the eyes, had to do all of that with her. So not my youngest, but just below Alyssa. But we had to do the same thing with the pencil and the eye training. And she also has had to have she can't see really well, and she had a cornea transplant just like a year and a half ago. They've slowed the progression on the other eye, but ultimately she'll have to have one in that one too. And so she has a whole bunch of different, and I think the hardest thing for me with her is that she realizes she has problems and can see what normalcy in her eyes looks like. And it was, I just remember all through school her crying and not understanding why she's so different than everybody else. And I'm like, you can accomplish everything you want to. It's just going to take you a couple years longer to do the things. Because they told me she wouldn't read past 3rd grade. I had a counselor tell me that and say, just get used to the idea. I remember coming home in tears because who wants to think that their child won't be able to progress past a 3rd grade reading level? She surpassed that because I didn't buy into it. They wanted to just not have her graduate with a diploma. They just wanted to write her off. And I didn't do that either. I'm like, I sat her down. I go, what do you want, hon? Do you want to graduate with a diploma or do you want to do it this way, you know, and tried to explain that to her. And she told me what she wanted, and that's what we fought for. So it's just, I just think as a parent, when you're going through all of this, and I'm glad that there's now books and groups and all this stuff, because it was a very lonely process and overwhelming. Luckily, my mom had gone through some of it, so she could help me with some of it. But her autistic kids, she didn't get diagnosed until after all of my stuff. So it's just been, I just think that if people knew there's a community, and now there is communities that can help them through this and kind of walk them through the steps, I think it's wonderful. I just wish that the school system wouldn't fight so hard and be so mean about it.
It's actually, it would be more cost effective for them to provide the support and services necessary than it would be to fight it.
I know. I know. I don't
But
understand it.
Doing some quick numbers for Utah, there's roughly 4,200 kids classified as youth in care, which means foster care, some kind of facility placement, or juvenile justice placement. So there's at least 200, based on the CDC's number of 1 in 20, which we think is not wholly accurate.
Yeah.
There's at least 210 kids in care impacted by prenatal alcohol exposure.
Yeah.
It gets bigger. There's roughly 670,000 students in the whole state, grades K through 12.
Wow.
Using the CDC's numbers, there's roughly 33,389 students in Utah who are impacted by prenatal alcohol exposure.
Wow.
That's a lot of kids.
That's a lot. It is a lot.
And the foster care picks up,
Exponentially.
and then foster care picks up higher numbers than just the statistical 1 in 20, or new numbers are 1 in 14, so almost 7%, little over 7%. Those are not official on the CDC, but it's the same team that did the CDC in 2018. It just hasn't been updated.
Right.
So we know that the numbers are higher, and there's pockets in the US where prenatal alcohol exposure shows 17%.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's really big. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's
I
the
mean,
elephant in the room that nobody's talking about, right?
it is. Well, it is.
Anything about,
Yeah. I mean, it is. I mean, everyone's focused on the drug epidemic, but nobody talks about this. And
so here's a comparison. The opioid is 0.6% prevalence.
Okay.
Wow.
But we talk about that.
And the CDC tells us 1 in 14 women self-report drinking during pregnancy. That's
1 in 7, 14%.
1 in 7 drink. So it's 14%.
Wow.
Yeah. 0.6 compared to 14%.
That's a huge difference. So, I mean, that's kind of ridiculous when you think about it, actually.
Yeah, it is definitely the elephant in the room that needs addressed.
Nobody wants to address it because it's alcohol and they're big.
Yeah, and just
money, right?
Yeah, and just statistically, the foster care and adoption tends to be higher in terms of the prevalence and the care, and that's where the book really, we wanted to focus on how do we help how do we help the parents move from the chaos to understanding, because if you don't provide you've got an expectation that your child needs to act a certain way. They have to learn, right? Those were some of the earlier supports.
And that's what I got. I mean, like my daughter, 2 years old, she started in the early intervention programs. Had her tested. They just said, oh yeah, there's something wrong. We can't put our finger on it. But she was, behind in all her areas. But she went through the temper tantrums were really fun. So, and my 2 girls were 10 and a half months apart, and they're biological sisters. So I had Alyssa, but Alyssa, I don't know if I can say about the.
Oh, okay.
Oh, her birth mom did more drugs with Alyssa. And so Alyssa had it in her system when she was born. And so Alyssa, her nervous system has more problems now.
Yeah.
And anxiety and stuff. So she fights with that stuff more. And when she was a baby, I couldn't take her anywhere. The overstimulation, she went through the drug withdrawals. I mean, it was horrific. I was kind of, I mean, it was hard because she's my first. And so I didn't know anything but that. And I just remember I would have my husband take her for like 5 minutes and just cry and then take her back before he went to work because she was just crying and in pain. And
I was a stay-at-home dad.
oh, were you? So you know,
I
yeah,
understand.
yes.
Yeah. My son was identified as and recognized as the first meth baby in North Dakota when he was born.
Oh wow.
Wow.
See, hers wasn't. It wasn't that. That wasn't big yet. So when Alyssa was born, it was more the cocaine and marijuana. That just that kind of stuff. So I think which might be a little bit better than meth.
If you can think of it that way.
Yes, I know. You can't really think of it as better.
Like,
I guess
maybe just easier.
yeah,
is
easier
probably the better word
because
to
it's
use.
at least more of a natural substance more so than the meth is.
Right. Well,
Right.
with meth, you don't know what's in it.
No, exactly.
Antifreeze, it could be.
Yeah, and that's
There's a study I'm looking at here. I do research. I have to
no, you're good. Yeah, no, you're good.
But there's a study that shows the prevalence rate for foster care populations is between 18 and 30%,
Oh wow.
which means in Utah that it's between 700 and 1,260 kids that are impacted by prenatal alcohol exposure.
That's
And
horrible.
that's a significant number.
That
And
is
we're largely, it's a conversation that's not happening.
no.
And our goal, is to educate the parents. But I think also is to raise awareness.
Yeah. Well, okay, so now I'm going to bring this into it because right now in Utah, we're having to fight Congress because they want to pass bills that make it so birth moms can't basically take away their agency of finding an agency that's out of state, that's not located in the state that they live in. That they say that they don't need it, that they don't do it. And we have many birth moms. We don't advertise in some states, but somehow they find us. And if they're looking and they're not happy, they're going to find one that they're happy with. But the government wants to take that away. And they're coming down on adoption as a whole hard right now. Like they want to get rid of it. That's how it's starting to feel right now. And so I think that
adoption
adoption in
in
general.
the state
Yeah.
in general. So if you want to adopt from India or Colombia or Ukraine, they're trying to take that away.
International adoption is different, but they want more regulation all the way around.
Okay.
So, so interstate adoptions just in the country. Georgia's really bad right now with interstate compact. They want to decide if a family's worthy enough to be considered for a child that's born in Georgia before.
I think every child deserves a family of their own.
I do too. And I don't think that the government should decide what state that family lives in or that birth mom's from.
Right.
Per se.
Well, I've given the things that happened as a result of my not having any knowledge about my son's brain-based difference. People ask me, would you still adopt? Oh, yes.
Yeah.
No. No doubt. And I was, my dad adopted my brother and I when we were about 3 and 4 years old. So we continued that tradition when my wife and I adopted our son. And out of our 5 kids, he's the only one that's not genetic.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I would, every child deserves a family of their own.
Well, and even I they're my children. So that's like saying, I don't know, would you not want a child, or have a child? And I don't, they're adopted, but I would have done it if I had them biologically. Why wouldn't I go through it again if I adopted? So it's like you're going to do whatever it takes to take care of your child. That's my stance, and I would do it all over again a million times over.
I'm smiling because my daughter took me out for Father's Day, and we were laughing about the misunderstanding of adoption.
Yeah.
And she's like, and our son didn't understand some of the bullying. Well, they're not your dad, right? And my daughter would say, just tell him to shut up.
Yes.
It was true.
They just don't get it.
It's I think it's ignorance, and that's another reason why we started the podcast, because there is so many misconceptions about adoption and about adoptees. And so that's why it's good Alyssa comes on here, but because a lot of people say, that their whole life started in trauma, which I get to a degree, but I'm like, I think all of us have trauma to some degree or not, whether we're biological in the family or not. We all have trauma we're dealing with, right? So there's a different form of trauma. I mean, that's just my own.
Well, and there's also the generational or historical trauma that comes from, like my son's part African American and part Native American and part Scandinavian, and there's a trauma there that I know nothing about, other than the fact that his birth mom basically abandoned him. And then when we put him into care in the state of North Dakota, wanted us to give up custody of him to the state. And we said, no, that's just not going to happen. He's already been abandoned once.
Yeah.
What is it going to tell him if I do that
another time? Yeah.
So, we refused, and they didn't force the issue. They either accepted the logic or figured it was easier than fighting with me.
Probably a little bit of both there. Yeah. Well, and that's the thing is, and a lot of people with birth moms, though, they think that your son's situation is the majority and of the time, and in reality, it's not. Most birth moms care for their child. They love the child that they're placing, and that's the reason why they come to this place. And I just had another adoptee that we interviewed last week, and this feeling that they weren't loved, and that's why they were placed. And I'm like, how do we get rid of that? Because in reality, your birth mom loved you. That's why she chose this. In more cases than not, at least with infant adoption through an agency. I think state foster care and that is totally different. It looks different than what we do. So in our cases, we don't pull the child away from the birth mom. It's the birth mom's decision the whole way. She chooses what's best for her and her child. And I go, how do we get rid of that mindset, though, that inbred in them? She doesn't feel that way. I told my daughter, I'm like, I hope she never feels that way, or any of them, because they all were loved, and then they're loved by their adoptive family. So I go, you're basically just encircled with love in the beginning and love all the way around from both sides. And that's how I see adoption. But for some reason, there's like stigmas and stuff built in us that makes us think certain things. I don't know. But see, you guys know more about the neuro stuff than I would know why that happens.
We've had some people tell us we should write a college textbook or turn our book into a college textbook. And
but it's not
that. It's not designed for that.
It's two dads talking across the table. It's not. But
I think that you guys could probably write one with the knowledge that you gained. That would be more textbook.
Maybe. I don't know if I'd want to. I'd rather hire
someone else to do it.
That's actually in that.
Yeah. Hire a ghostwriter.
Yeah.
Or something that goes with that. But some of the trauma we added to our kiddos because we had those expectations, not knowing the diagnosis and what the root cause was. But as soon as we did a really simple illustration would be, I didn't understand that our son needed more processing time.
Yeah.
Right.
And I would say I have permission to use his name, and he is actually in the book.
Okay.
He's did some art for us, and
Oh, cool.
chapter 5 has one of his brain maps. It's not intended to be read in the book, just
Yeah.
for the readers. It,
It's an example.
it's illustration. The website has it, so you can blow it up and look at it.
Okay.
But the
Okay.
context is that we added trauma because, traditional parenting is you would ask Sam, our son, to do something and you'd get the pushback.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. And then you would say, don't be disrespectful.
Yes.
You
Yeah.
move to him, and 3 days later,
Yeah.
he would calm down.
Yes. Yeah.
And as opposed to, hey, Sam, in 5 minutes, can you
Yeah.
do the chore, whatever that chore is? You still might get the pushback, but you learn to walk away. And guess what?
Well, and see,
Later he's up doing the chore, and it's like,
yeah,
just
I
let
think
him
that's
have
the
some
hardest.
space to.
Yeah.
And so that's part of how the chaos has come down in terms of the parenting side.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that his brain difference has gone away, but in the context of trauma and epigenetics and neuroscience that we've learned, if I were to put my hands like heavy cross, yeah, and there's in epigenetics, it's the expression of what the DNA is going to
Yeah.
become, right? And so they go into hiding during alcohol or drugs.
Okay.
And the more that they feel safe, those little tentacles start to come out until they can start to express themselves. Because it isn't just at birth that they can express themselves at any time in life. And they're more active when they feel safe. And so our son now feels safe.
Mm-hmm.
And he operates in a different way because we've built safety,
Right.
sense of security around him. And it, it's just when you don't understand, there's trauma that goes with it, right? We went through 9 schools to get him graduated. Nobody understood it. And
Yeah.
how many therapies he had and how many after school programs. And not a single professional knew how to work with our son.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
for
And that's the case,
years we
right?
didn't. Right.
Yeah.
And for 14 years we didn't.
Yeah. And I remember the horrible stuff. I mean, my Kendra, because she would have some anger outbursts, they then want to stick your child in a classroom setting that has kids that are physical, right?
Mhm.
And kids that like hit and kick. And they had a closet that they would stick kids in if they were too abusive. And then I'm like thinking, I go, I never want my child in that closet. I mean, ever, because how is that going to make anything better by putting them in, a dark space all alone? So
That's fear and shame based,
yeah,
and that doesn't work.
no. And so two, one thing that I was now listening to all this, I think that teaching adults to walk away is a huge thing, because we do have that mindset where I'm the adult, you listen to me, and I'm not going to walk away until you do what I ask you to do. So how do we get more parents to learn that sometimes our children just need 5 minutes to walk away and give them that 5 minutes for them to calm down? And my daughter now will tell me, not in a nice way, but she'll tell me she needs 5 or 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, and I'll walk out. So it's just, I think that it's us too, as adults, coming to terms with learning that it's okay to do that and to give the space for them to calm down, because they have to process. It takes them a little bit longer to process their emotion, to calm themselves down.
Well, excuse me. I've noticed with since I've been diagnosed that there's things I always took as part of life, and
Yeah.
that's sensory issues that I have, or my absolute hatred of going shopping.
Yeah.
Because growing up, I used to steal everything I could
Oh,
get out of the store. I had up
okay.
until I was 17, I took everything. It was an
Oh,
impulse issue.
yeah, yeah,
And I still have those impulses, but I haven't stolen anything in more than 35 years.
yeah,
But it's still there. And
yeah,
so, but rather than subject myself to that, I use, cite to car or cite to store,
yeah, yeah. So you don't have to.
and get it delivered, or my wife does the shopping for me.
Yeah,
But, I asked my wife before I got diagnosis, got the diagnosis, I said, well, do you think I might have FASD? And her response was, well, that's a no-brainer.
Well, before you did
But
that.
it explains so much about my life, my
Yeah,
childhood,
yeah.
and I didn't seek the diagnosis. I was actually interviewing the gentleman who did my diagnosis for a training to social workers on how the diagnostic process works. And he said, well, let's run you through this. So, and
Oh
then when
wow.
we were done, he said, you have FASD, and it's likely alcohol related neurodevelopmental. And he said, are you okay with that? And I said, this is the only life I know.
Yeah.
So,
Like, what can I do?
but it is what it is. And you
Yeah.
can't change it, and I have people that accuse me of shaming my mom. And I am forever grateful that she brought me into this world.
Yeah.
Considering the chaos that was her life at that time,
Yeah.
I am forever grateful that she gave me life.
Yeah.
So, in fact, I'm surprised she didn't drink more, based on the things I've learned.
Oh, really? Okay.
But it is what it is. You can't undo it. You can't
No.
and move on.
And you're not shaming someone
No.
when you're dealing with your own.
But if I'd known when my son was little,
Yeah.
the things I know now about his brain,
Yeah.
his whole life would have been different. And it would have been more like Joel and his family and less chaos, a lot less chaos.
Yeah.
But in 6 residential placements, he was cured 4 times.
Oh, wow.
Their words, not mine. And one placement, they said, this isn't autism, but we don't know what it is. And insurance sent him home because he wasn't making any progress.
But he was cured.
But he was cured.
So
I think about it as something that can't be cured. Well, and that's the problem is that well, and to the if you need help from the government, they don't want to give it. There's not hardly any help for people who have mental issues. I mean, that's another huge problem that we have. And when families and the kids are older like that and they need help, it's so hard to find anywhere to go. There's not a lot offered in those areas to help deal with them once they're older. And that's why they're in jail or on the street, right?
Yeah, there's more supports in the ADHD and the autism space now.
Well, even the trauma space.
Yeah.
And more so in the trauma. So FASD has not been recognized. My wife is, highly educated. I'm somewhat educated, and it went right.
You seem highly educated, so I'm hoping that I can keep up with you guys. I'm like listening and
Joel's like, can you find the source for this so we can say it's accurate? And I'm like, sure. So I'll send him a bunch of stuff. And he's like, I don't want to read it.
Because I've read it or heard it in an interview, right?
Yeah.
And so it's like, so our book to help folks on the simplicity, we hope it can help a family.
Yeah.
Right. And in the context of a parent that you were saying earlier, how do we get folks to move towards that? We hope that, it's one family at a time, starting to understand that it's really about parenting. The brain difference is with the kid. You're not going to change it. You can't shame them. But what you can do is provide safety and supports that helps bridge those gaps where they need help. We all go to the doctor or get a coach or whatever. We all need support. It's just a different type of support, right?
Yeah.
So you've got to work towards destigmatizing and just make it normality. This is how you need help. This is how you need support. And that's the intent of the book. We put story in there, we put definition in there, personal stories, anecdotal stories, uh, symptoms and interventions, and then we tag in there a couple of neuroscience types of things, but they're more in the context that it's like, think of it like you're a weather station predictor.
To help understand.
Yeah,
And
rather than the language of a researcher, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's
Yeah.
really intended to be, but the intent is take this information and go to your therapist, your educator, your doctor, et cetera, et cetera. Our pediatrician had no idea what this was. When I told her what we were up to, she goes, "Oh, I need to learn."
Yeah.
I think
Our,
everybody basically needs to learn. I mean, honestly, since it's on the up, and it's just becoming more and more prevalent, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it needs to be addressed.
Mhm.
So, and if we can help the children, because we can't change them, all we can do is help them through it and help them with coping skills. And like you said, to feel safe, that they can
Right.
do those things.
Well, I've been doing this work in North Dakota for, like Joel said, about 15 years. Started with the IEP process. But in the last 4 years, I've been doing a lot of parent-to-parent support.
Mhm.
And, for example, 2 years ago, I had over 100 families on my personal caseload for the whole year. And one family was biological, and we had to recommend that they seek therapy for themselves.
Okay.
And it's part of it's just life. If you're pregnant and you don't know you're pregnant for the first 2 months or so of the pregnancy,
Yeah.
the alcohol's already done the damage
Yeah.
if you've been a drinker. And it's
Yeah.
not to say we should stop drinking. That's not our
Yeah.
goal.
Yeah.
Our goal is just not to drink while you're expecting a baby or
Yeah.
planning to have a baby. So,
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah. And then, or if you adopt and you don't know, I mean, this is beneficial to help you through that process.
well, in the diagnostic process right now, at least in the United States, they pretty much all require disclosure from the birth mom.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
And most birth moms will never disclose that information.
No, which is interesting because with drugs, I think it's more acceptable. I don't know if that's the wording I would use, but
Yeah.
you're more apt to get that out of them than if they drink.
Yeah.
Research would show that as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that the OBGYN networks are starting to look at how do we not, because it may have been presented to shame in the past, and
Yeah. Yeah.
and they're working at how to ask those questions without it being shaming.
Yeah.
Right. And our goal should never be to never shame.
Yeah.
It helps nothing to do
No.
that.
No.
Out of I have a pretty large medical team for all of my health issues, and the only one who understood fetal alcohol was my dentist.
Oh wow.
Wow.
And
How is
he
that?
said, "Well, that explains why you have so much trouble with your teeth." And
Oh.
all he saw, the only indication that he knew, and I was aware of FASD, is I had a T-shirt on that said FASD and explained what it was, definition.
Mhm.
And he said, FASD. And I said, well, I have that. I was diagnosed last year. And his immediate response was, well, that explains why you have so much trouble with your teeth. And he says he sees a lot of kids with teeth issues.
And that's interesting, though, that he knew what it was out of everyone.
Out of everyone.
In
My
it.
primary didn't know.
Yeah.
My liver doctor doesn't know. My rheumatologist doesn't know. My neurologist doesn't know. All of these people that are, should have at least a base knowledge of
Yeah.
what fetal alcohol
I would
exposure.
think that the neurologist, absolutely, but I don't know.
Mm-mm.
That's
No,
very
I mean,
interesting.
that's crazy.
it
I
is.
mean, if you're going to doctors for help, but the doctors don't even know anything about it, then how do you get help?
Right.
It's pretty common that drug counselors don't even know about this.
Yeah. So then
They
how would you suggest
alcohol
people find
recovery.
out? or get
Yeah,
tested.
we're just on the beginning of what we hope becomes more, in the 1950s, nobody really understood autism.
Yeah.
Over the years, it has become known, and it's a little bit at a time. It's self-advocates like Carl.
Yeah.
It's getting our national health policy, the MAHA report. It doesn't mention prenatal alcohol exposure.
No.
And
That
it's
is
probably the most common issue related to mental health, right? And why don't we know about that? And why aren't we addressing it? And I think there's something to do with the alcohol lobbyist. There has to do, it's our legal drug. There's shame somehow connected to it that doesn't need to be connected to it. It's, FASD is largely preventable, but you can't do it 100% because, like Carl said, you may not know that you're pregnant for a month, 2-3 months into it.
Yeah.
And there should not be any shame. It's just a part of, once let's start to work at what we can.
Yeah.
We can support.
Well, and most people know what Down syndrome is.
Yeah.
Most people understand what cerebral palsy is.
Yeah.
And most people understand what autism is.
Yeah.
FASD is more prevalent than those three conditions combined.
It's crazy. Well, and I think that autism, just I would say in the last 10 years or so, I think everybody knows what that is now, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's huge because there's such a degree, spectrum of it.
Yeah.
But like you said, nobody knows this. So, and it should be talked about more because I think that maybe, how is it possible? And I'm just going to say that because people that have been diagnosed with autism, could they have this on top of, because you said it can mimic some of the symptoms, right, of autism. Stuff. Is it possible someone that's diagnosed autistic really be this?
Carl, researcher knows the numbers.
Very much diagnosed. And that's where the dual diagnosis comes in as well. Most the research is kids, people with FASD were first diagnosed with like ADHD or obsessive compulsive disorder or something like that.
Yeah.
And then they get diagnosed with trauma because most of them have been in foster care or adopted. And then they get diagnosed with autism. And, we were in North Dakota, we were discouraged from seeking an FASD diagnosis for our son.
Oh.
Because there's no services. And that's what they said.
Oh, okay.
There's no support. So why do that? Because
you still need a correct diagnosis to work
right.
with.
If we don't have the correct impact numbers, how are we ever going to change the system?
Yeah.
So if you look at that, I think in my personal opinion and from the research I've read, the reason the autism rate is so high is because we're not accurately diagnosing people with prenatal alcohol exposure.
That's what I was thinking.
I think it's almost 9 out of 10.
Yeah. Really?
Yeah.
Okay. So now I'm going to go get my daughter tested for this instead.
There's a screening a brain online screening you can get to through the FASD United website. That'll give you an indication if you should seek further diagnosis.
Okay. So I think I will do that.
That's great for a lot of people to know too.
Yeah.
It's free. So,
yeah. Okay.
I can send you.
University of Southern California.
University of San Diego in Southern California. And I'll send you a link to your email.
That would be awesome.
Easier.
We'll have to put that in our.
And you can, the scan is set up two ways. You can do it either way. One is the parent of somebody with the suspected disorder or as the person themselves.
Okay.
So I did it because I wanted to know what it said or what the process was. And I used that to educate social workers on it.
Yeah.
And it told me I should see a specialist. So it takes about
it does work. It works.
It takes about 3 weeks to get the results, but they're free. So
that's great. That's
great. That at least gives you an indication if you're on the right track.
Yeah. Well, and
So,
that will help our families too if we put that up
Just
with the
even that first
information.
step is just huge.
yeah.
I mean, I think this is huge. So that's why my mom wanted to be here to talk. She's going to be so upset when I tell her all
Oh,
this.
we could talk to her again.
Yeah.
Yeah, we could just set up a Zoom
Well,
just with her,
you know,
and she'll love
I'm
that.
going to tell you that she'll probably reach out to you. So I'll just warn you of that now.
We've had that happen where
Yeah.
random people have found us and reached out and
Yeah.
said, can you help? So,
Yeah.
and Joel and I aren't.
Because the process, and like I said before, there's no help. And then when you're trying to find help for your child, no one can offer you any because nobody knows anything. And so that's where she's coming from, is that she's angered by the system, that they have nothing to offer my sister or her child, as far as help, and they don't want to really.
I've been called a snowplow parent by my son's attorney because I bulldoze my way through to get him what he needs for support. And
I think that's a great thing. Yeah. Congratulations.
I call it, it's to me, it's a badge of honor. I should get a sticker that says snowplow. I'm a snowplow parent.
I think that we might have to make like little things to put on our windows, like in our cars and stuff. Yeah, we should sell that.
But the biggest impact you can have is to keep talking about it.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's great. Okay, so we're gonna have to wrap it up. Otherwise, we could probably talk about
we could talk all day long.
Yes, I know. So
you could pick a topic in one of the chapters that your mom
would like to talk,
and we'll be back to talk about that.
Awesome. Oh, that's a great idea. She would. I will tell her. She will love that because she was upset about missing this today. So
and then don't forget about the website because there's a wealth of information on the website.
On your website, I have your website.
Pulled out of the book. Some of the early drafts of the book were pushing 2,000 pages.
Oh, wow.
Nobody wants to carry that around.
I went to dinner with a friend last night and he goes, okay, my wife ordered your book last night. What have you been up to? It's that. And I said, it's comprehensive, but it's actually pretty easy. Just like a cookbook. It's the recipe and
then you're good.
Follow the directions.
Yeah. I was like thinking, well, it sounds like you guys could have done a textbook if it was like 2,000 pages.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, and that's also why we moved all of the citations from the end of each page to a section at the back of the book because we didn't want it to look like a science book.
Oh, okay.
It's not meant to be.
So you still have it, but it's just at the back.
And that's for when the parents take if a parent takes their kid to and wants to talk to their doctor about what they're experiencing, the doctor can look at those citations and understand that this is all based on science.
Yeah, maybe we need to all give doctors, just hand them here, especially pediatricians and stuff that are dealing with children.
We just
kind of know about it, I would think.
Yeah, as we're brand new at this book piece, and we're moving to some other platforms besides Amazon. It's on Amazon and on Barnes and Noble.
Yeah.
But we're also looking to integrate it within our website, and we just punched out a PDF and an audio that goes with it on the basics of neurodiversity.
Oh, that's
great.
Yeah.
And the audio, I think, is a half hour, and it's a half hour read or a half hour listen.
Oh, that's not bad at all.
Yeah.
So, and it's a lot less comprehensive than the book.
Yes.
But it still gives you a whole lot of information. So
at least like a jumping off platform.
Yeah.
Yeah. Some of the basics like we talked about, processing speed or those kinds of things.
Okay.
And it's intended because we're getting asked by teachers. I was on a call yesterday with a dad who tracked me down, and Carl and I are working with the parents that tracked us down.
Yeah.
And we're glad to help. That's what we're doing.
And that's amazing. And I have to thank you guys for that and bringing it out, because I know fighting tooth and nail in school and stuff, trying to get our kids taken care of, that we do need more education as far as what's going on with our kids, because we want to help them. We want what's best for them, and sometimes you throw your hands up because we just don't know.
Mhm.
And so I think this is a great help to get out there.
Well, you know,
So
and
that
at the end of
people
the
know
day, we're not professionals. We're not, you know, therapists. We're not doctors. We're just two dads.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So
Well,
just
you
trying
guys sound like you could be.
we both appreciate that compliment. very
Yeah.
much.
I mean, you totally do. So, I mean, you know more than a lot of the doctors. So,
Mhm.
I mean, right there in this field, that's amazing. So, and it was based in love, and that's why, and that's the most important thing. That's why you did it. So, that's
Mm.
better than a doctor in my eyes. So,
Yeah.
I mean, you searched it out because you loved your kids
Just
and
a
you wanted
dad that
answers.
just wanted to help.
Yeah, you wanted answers.
And I would encourage parents that do adopt, you know, there is that heartache of, you know, you don't want to have, you adopt because of whatever medical reasons or maybe spiritual reasons or whatever. And when you have the adoption and then you get a diagnosis,
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
it's like throws you off. It's
Yeah.
like I've heard parents talk about this isn't what I wanted. This is, and so there's the reality of that disappointment, that heartache, but try to reframe it in the context. I have something in front of me that I've been given to help another child.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
How can I learn and how can I help?
that's amazing.
And
Yeah.
at the end of the day, you know, every parent needs to give themselves grace.
Yeah.
Because we don't, we're not experts in our children until we are.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah. Until we
and
learn
it's
it.
not going to come overnight.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's good too. Well, I thank you for that. So I think we'll end on those notes because those are both great.
Yes. And we will be sure to
Wonderful.
put the links to your book, your
Oh,
website.
and please email us that
Yes,
information.
So everybody
I'll get
can
that
have
to you
that.
shortly.
That would be great.
But like Joel had said, you know, have your mom pick out a
I
chapter
will.
of the book, and we'd be happy to come back on and talk
I
about
would
it.
totally. Oh, that's
Yeah.
awesome. I will
No.
tell her. Yeah, you guys, you might rethink that after you meet her, but that's okay.
She's a lot, but she's great. We love her.
No,
for who
I mean,
she
just
is.
mean she'll just keep having you come back.
That's all right.
You'll just be like a fixture on our show.
We'll
A
just
permanent-
pick just
a
one
permanent
chapter at a
fixture.
time. We'll discuss with Kathy and you guys.
Yeah,
We'll just go through
we'll go over one chapter at a time. That works.
Yeah.
That works.
Well,
Okay.
thank you for the honor of visiting with us today.
Well, thank you for
Yeah, we
coming on. I'm
appreciate
glad you reached out to us, Carl. I mean, a lot of good information.
Yeah. You guys are doing such great things, and this
yeah.
is something that needs to be talked about. So we thank you guys for bringing awareness and sharing your experiences just
Yeah.
to help others that are going through the same thing.
That's amazing.
Thank you.
Amazing.
Yeah,
Thank you.
thank you.
Alyssa will just close us out. And then again, I appreciate it. And then I promise you, I will be reaching out to you guys to get you back on, and I'll have my mom look over what she wants to discuss.
Yeah, that works.
Okay.
All
Okay,
right. So
thank you.
everyone out there, check out their book on Amazon. We'll put the links in the description. And if anybody out there wants to learn more about adoption, you can visit our website at www.activeloveadoptions.com.
Thank you guys.
Thank
We
you, guys.
appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a wonderful day.
You too.
You too.
Yeah. Bye.